Hello everyone. Today we will discuss the anatomy of lumbar plexus. So lumbar plexus, what does this mean? Plexus means a network. In this case, it is a network of nerves. So which nerves? As the name suggests, the lumbar spinal nerves. So a network of lumbar spinal nerves is called as the lumbar plexus. So if you see here in this diagram here, so this is a section of the spinal cord. This is the gray matter as you can see, and this is the white matter. This is the anterior horn of the gray matter, and this is anterior horn or the ventral horn, and this is the posterior horn or the dorsal horn of the spinal gray matter. Emerging from the anterior or the ventral horn is called as the ventral root carrying the motor fibers. Now attaching to the dorsal horn is the dorsal root which carries the sensory fibers. Now both the ventral root and the dorsal root will join to form the spinal nerve. This spinal nerve comes out of the intervertebral foramen. As you can see here, the spinal nerve will come out of the intervertebral foramen and it will divide into the ventral ramus and the dorsal ramus. Do not get confused between the ramus and the root. So once the spinal nerve comes out of the intervertebral foramen, it divides into the ventral ramus and the dorsal ramus. So this is the ventral ramus, this is the dorsal ramus. So the ventral ramus will supply the anterior aspect of the body, whereas the dorsal ramus will supply the posterior aspect of the body. When we speak about the lumbar plexus or any other plexus, it is this ventral ramus which is involved in the formation and not the dorsal ramus. So which component of the spinal nerve forms the plexus? It is the ventral ramus. So this is the ventral ramus. We'll move on to the next slide. In this you can see that there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves, of which there are 8 cervical, then you have the 12 thoracic, then you have the 5 lumbar and the 5 sacral and 1 coccygeal spinal nerve. There are several plexus you already know by now. One is the cervical plexus formed by the cervical spinal nerve. This plexus will supply the head and neck region. Then you are also aware of the brachial plexus. So the brachial plexus, this will supply the upper limb. Now we are discussing about the lumbar plexus. This lumbar plexus will supply the lower limb, the anterior abdominal wall and the skin of the gluteal region. We also have the sacral plexus. Sacral plexus will supply the lower limb and the pelvis and the perineum. So these are some of the plexus you know: the cervical plexus, the brachial plexus, the lumbar plexus and the sacral plexus. If you observe here, the thoracic spinal nerves are not involved in formation of plexus. That is because they form intercostal nerves and supply the respective muscles within the intercostal space. So the thoracic spinal nerves will form the intercostal nerves and they don't form plexus. So this was in short about the plexus. Now we will look into the details of the lumbar plexus. As we have already discussed, if the word plexus come, it is which component of the spinal nerve? It is only the ventral ramus which is involved in the formation of the plexus. In this case, lumbar plexus is formed by the ventral ramus of lumbar 1 spinal nerve, ventral ramus of the lumbar 2nd spinal nerve, ventral ramus of lumbar 3rd spinal nerve, ventral ramus of lumbar 4 spinal nerve with a contribution of a twig from T12. So these spinal nerves will help in the formation of the lumbar plexus. As you can see here, this is the lumbar plexus. And this lumbar plexus, it is situated in the posterior abdominal wall within the substance of a muscle which is called as psoas major. So, if you dissect this muscle, the psoas major, you can see this lumbar plexus. So, you can appreciate here the ventral ramus of L1, ventral ramus of L2, ventral ramus of L3, ventral ramus of L4 are involved in the formation of plexus, which is the lumbar plexus. Not to forget a small contribution or a twig from T12. Now we'll move on to the next slide. So in this slide we will see what are the branches of this lumbar plexus. As already discussed, lumbar plexus is formed by the ventral ramus of L1, ventral ramus of L2, ventral ramus of L3 and ventral ramus of L4 with a twig from ventral ramus of T12. So these nerves are involved in formation of the lumbar plexus. Let us see the branches and their root value. Now if you appreciate here, the ventral ramus of L1, it receives a twig from T12 and it divides into a large upper branch and a small lower branch. From the large upper branch, there are two branches, namely heliohypogastric nerve and the ilioinguinal nerve. So, from L1, we have two branches, that is the iliohypogastric nerve and the ilioinguinal nerve. So, their root value will be L1. Now, the small lower part of L1 will join with the ventral ramus of L2 and it will form a nerve which is called as genitofemoral nerve. So the root value of genitofemoral nerve will be L1 and L2. The details of this we will be discussing in the next further slides. Now furthermore, what happens is the ventral ramus of L2, ventral ramus of L3 and ventral ramus of L4. So just imagine this is the ventral ramus of L2, L3 and L4. They will divide into anterior or the ventral branch, posterior or the dorsal branch. Anterior or the ventral branch, posterior or the dorsal branch. So this is the anterior and this is the posterior. Why do they divide like this? So that the anterior division will supply the anterior aspect of the lower limb and the posterior division will supply the posterior aspect of the lower limb. So if you can see here, the ventral ramus of L2, L3 and L4 are divided into the anterior branch representing the green and posterior branch representing the yellow. So this is the posterior branch, this is the anterior branch of L2. This is the posterior branch of L3, this is the anterior branch of ventral ramus of L3. This is the posterior branch of ventral ramus of L4. This is the anterior branch of ventral ramus of L4. So no confusions with that. Now we will see the branches. So what we can see here is the posterior branch of L2 joins with posterior branch of L3 to form a nerve which is called as lateral femoral cutaneous nerve. Very important MCQ question. So, the root value of lateral femoral cutaneous nerve will be the posterior division of ventral ramus of L2 and posterior division of ventral ramus of L3. So, this will be L2 and L3. Now, moving down, the posterior division of ventral ramus of L2, posterior division of ventral ramus of L3, posterior division of ventral ramus of L4 will all join to form the largest branch of this plexus, that is called as the femoral nerve. So this is formed by posterior division of L2, L3 and L4. Now if you observe here, in the green represents the anterior division of the ventral ramus. So from the posterior division of L2, L3, L4 we had the femoral nerve. Now from the anterior division of ventral ramus of L2, anterior division of ventral ramus of L3, anterior division of ventral ramus of L4 will join to form a nerve that is called as the obturator nerve. So this is the obturator nerve which is formed by anterior division of L2, L3 and N4. And occasionally there is presence of one more nerve. Let us see which nerve that is. That is called as accessory obturator nerve, which is formed by the anterior division of ventral ramus of L3 and anterior division of ventral ramus of L4. So this is the accessory obturator nerve which is often absent, present in very few cases. So these were the branches of the lumbar plexus. In this slide, what we will see is, now once these branches are formed, namely iliohypogastric, ilioinguinal, genitofemoral, lateral femorocutaneous, then we have the femoral nerve, obturator nerve. Once these branches are formed, how do they come out? They come out piercing the muscles of the anterior abdominal wall and supply their destined region. So, what are the muscles these nerves pierce? The anterior abdominal wall muscles, namely transverse abdominis, then we have the internal oblique, then we have the external oblique. So see, these are the three muscles of the anterior abdominal wall. So these nerves will pierce these muscles, come out and supply their destined region. So first we will discuss about the iliohypogastric nerve. As already discussed, iliohypogastric nerve is formed by the ventral ramus of L1. If you can see here, this is the iliohypogastric nerve formed by the L1 ventral ramus. So once this iliohypogastric nerve reaches the iliac crest, it divides into the lateral cutaneous nerve and the anterior cutaneous nerve. The lateral cutaneous nerve will supply posterolateral aspect of the skin of the gluteal region. So, the lateral cutaneous nerve will supply the posterolateral aspect of the skin of the gluteal region. What happens to this anterior cutaneous nerve? It will supply the skin on the pubic region. We will see in the next slide. So the anterior cutaneous nerve will supply the skin on the pubic region and the anterior abdominal wall. So that was about the iliohypogastric nerve. Now moving on to the ilioinguinal nerve. The nerve which you are seeing here is the ilioinguinal nerve. This root value is again L1. Iliohypogastric was L1 as already discussed. Let us see about this nerve. So the ilioinguinal nerve, what does it supply? This supplies the skin of the root of the penis. It supplies the skin of the scrotum. It supplies the skin of upper medial aspect of the thigh. So that is about the ilioinguinal nerve. In case of female, it will supply the skin of the labia majora and the skin of the mons pubis. Next, we have the lateral femorocutaneous nerve. This is the MCQ question. So as already discussed, lateral femorocutaneous nerve, we discussed the ventral ramus of L2, L3 and L4 will divide into anterior and posterior branch. Anterior and posterior branch. So lateral femorocutaneous nerve is formed by the posterior division of L2 and posterior division of L3. So the root value is L2 and L3, that is the posterior division of the ventral ramus of L2 and L3. If you see here, this is the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve. The MCQ question we will discuss. Let us first see how this nerve comes out. Now this nerve, lateral femoral cutaneous nerve, it is beneath a fascia which is called as the fascia iliaca. Now what happens? It is beneath the fascia iliaca. It travels beneath the inguinal ligament, comes down to the thigh and supplies the anterolateral aspect of the thigh. Under certain circumstances, instead of traveling beneath the fascia iliaca and the inguinal ligament, unfortunately, this lateral femoral cutaneous nerve travels within the substance of fascia iliaca and the inguinal ligament. In such cases, what happens is this nerve is prone for irritation as it is traveling within the substance of the fascia. So what happens in such cases? In this upper lateral region which is supplied by the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve, so in the upper lateral region of the thigh, there will be burning sensation or the pain in the upper skin of the upper lateral aspect of the thigh supplied by the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve. This condition is called as meralgia paresthetica. This is a MCQ question. So, the skin supplied by the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve, that is the upper lateral aspect of the thigh, if there is any pain or burning sensation in that region, that condition is called as meralgia paresthetica. Why does it occur? It occurs because this nerve is traveling within the substance of fascia iliaca and the inguinal ligament instead of traveling beneath it. So, any irritation to this nerve brings about pain in its area of supply. So that condition is called as meralgia paresthetica. And which nerve causes this? It is the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve. Now we move on to the genitofemoral nerve. As already discussed, genitofemoral nerve is formed by the ventral ramus of L1 joining with the ventral ramus of L2. So genitofemoral nerve is formed by L1 and L2. This genitofemoral nerve, it divides into genital component and the femoral component. So it divides into genital component of the genitofemoral nerve, femoral component of the genitofemoral nerve. First we will see about the femoral component, then we will discuss about the genital component of the genitofemoral nerve. So, the femoral component of the genitofemoral nerve, where you have seen this is, you have seen it in the femoral triangle, that is within the femoral sheath. We saw that the femoral branch of genitofemoral nerve was within the arterial compartment of the femoral sheath along with the femoral artery. So, this nerve is the femoral branch of the genitofemoral nerve. We also saw that the femoral branch of genitofemoral nerve supplied the skin on the anterior and the upper aspect of the femoral triangle. Now we will see the genital component. So what happens to the genital component is, this genital component supplies a muscle which is called as cremaster in males, and it also supplies the skin of the pubis and the scrotum. So that is the supply of the genitofemoral nerve. In case of female, skin of the labia majora and the mons pubis. Now we will see the femoral nerve. As already discussed, femoral nerve is formed, it's the largest nerve of this plexus, and it is formed by the posterior division of the ventral ramus of L2, posterior division of ventral ramus of L3, posterior division of ventral ramus of L4. So that is the femoral nerve, which is present in the lateralmost compartment of the femoral triangle, which we have already seen in the last class. Now you might observe here, we said that femoral nerve is the nerve supplying the anterior or the extensor compartment of the thigh. But while studying the root value, we said that root value of femoral nerve was by the posterior division of ventral ramus of L2, posterior division of ventral ramus of L3 and posterior division of ventral ramus of L4. Now you might get a question that, so this is a posterior division. This nerve arises from the posterior division, but why does it end up supplying the anterior aspect of the thigh. Why not the posterior aspect? You might also appreciate in this diagram, in the upper limb, this is the flexor aspect. In the lower limb, this is the extensor aspect. The answer for that is, though the femoral nerve's root value is from the posterior division of ventral ramus of L2, it supplies the anterior aspect of the thigh or the extensor compartment of the thigh because the limb buds, these are formed as a lateral projection of the body wall. At 7th week, the upper limb bud rotates laterally, whereas lower limb bud rotates medially. That is why the femoral nerve, whose root value is from posterior division of ventral ramus of L2, L3 and L4. So it's because of this rotation, it ends up supplying the extensor compartment and not the posterior compartment. So that is why we have put this slide. Now we come to the MCQ question, frequently asked. The meralgia paresthetica or the meralgia paresthesia is due to involvement of which nerve? We have already seen that meralgia paresthesia or paresthetica is due to involvement of lateral cutaneous nerve of the thigh, which is from posterior division of the ventral ramus of L2 and L3. So that is the answer. So we already saw the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve. So it was from posterior division of ventral ramus of L2 and L3. So instead of traveling beneath the fascia iliaca and inguinal ligament, if it travels within the fascia iliaca and inguinal ligament, there is irritation to this nerve, and that is why the area of its supply, namely the upper lateral aspect of the thigh, there is burning sensation and pain. So that condition is known as meralgia paresthetica, caused by lateral femoral cutaneous nerve. Now all of the branches of lumbar plexus except ilioepigastric nerve, you already know it is from L1. Ilioinguinal nerve, you already know it is from L1. Obturator nerve, you know it is from the anterior division of the ventral ramus of L2, L3 and L4. Now the answer is subcostal nerve because it is not from lumbar plexus. It is from T12. So the answer is subcostal nerve. So you can see here, this is the subcostal nerve, which is not a part of the lumbar plexus. So that is the answer. So with this, we have discussed in brief about the lumbar plexus and the MCQ questions asked in this topic. So thank you so much for listening to this video, and any doubts you could message to my email. Thank you so much.